The old book. In the heart of a bustling city, surrounded by tall buildings and constant noise, there was a small, forgotten alley. At the end of that alley stood an old bookstore named Whispering Pages. The wooden sign creaked in the wind, and dust gathered on the windows like time had simply stopped caring. Most people passed it by, never noticing the cracked bricks or the warm golden light that glowed faintly through the dusty glass. But Lena, a curious and quiet 12-year-old, noticed everything. Lena didn't like crowds or loud places. While her classmates played on their phones and shopped at bright, noisy malls, Lena liked libraries and quiet corners. Her mother worked long hours, and her father had left years ago, so Lena spent a lot of time alone. But she never felt lonely with a good book. One drizzly afternoon after school, as she wandered home through the city's quieter streets, she noticed the alley for the first time. Something about the way the bookstore stood there, calm, still, and somehow waiting, made her stop. A small brass bell rang as she pushed open the heavy wooden door. The smell of old paper, leather, and lavender met her nose. Inside, the light was soft and golden, like a sunset captured in glass. Books filled every shelf, every table, and even some of the chairs. They were stacked in towers that leaned like they were whispering secrets to each other. Behind the front counter sat a man with round glasses and wild gray hair. "Ah," he said, looking up. "A reader." Lena smiled shyly. "Is this place open?" "For those who seek stories, it always is," the man said with a wink. "I'm Mr. Thorne. Welcome to Whispering Pages." Lena wandered through the narrow aisles. Some books looked hundreds of years old. Others had no titles at all. She ran her fingers along the spines, feeling the quiet magic that seemed to live between the pages. Then, tucked behind a thick atlas, she found it. A thin book with a dark brown leather cover, tied shut with a ribbon. No title. No author. Just an odd symbol, a key within a circle, pressed into the leather. "Curious one," Mr. Thorne murmured, appearing beside her. "You've found it." "What is it?" Lena asked. "No one knows," he said. "It's been here for as long as I've owned the shop. No one ever chooses it. Until now." Lena untied the ribbon. The pages inside were old but strong, filled with neat handwriting in deep blue ink. But there were no page numbers, no chapters. And the first page held a message. "This book belongs to the reader, and its story changes with each soul who dares to open it." Lena looked up. "What does that mean?" Mr. Thorne simply smiled. "Take it home. Read it by candlelight. And listen carefully. The book listens too." That night, in her tiny bedroom with a single candle flickering on the windowsill, Lena opened the book again. To her surprise, the pages had changed. They now told a story about a young girl named Lena, who wandered into a mysterious bookshop and discovered a book that could rewrite itself. Lena sat up straighter. She flipped a few pages. The story continued to follow her actions, leaving school, finding the alley, meeting Mr. Thorne. Heart thumping, she turned to the next page. That night, Lena dreamed of a forest made of paper, where words flew like birds, and shadows whispered her name. When she woke, the world was not quite the same. Lena blinked. Then everything went dark. When she opened her eyes, she was no longer in her room. She stood in a vast forest. Trees made of folded pages stretched above her. The ground was soft parchment. Words drifted like snowflakes, glowing faintly before fading away. She gasped, turning in a circle. "This can't be real," she whispered. But it felt real. The air smelled of ink and pine. A path made of silver bookmarks twisted through the trees. A voice behind her spoke. "You opened the book. Now you must finish the story." Lena turned and saw a boy standing there. He looked about her age, dressed in a jacket made of newsprint and boots that left tiny letter-shaped prints behind him. "Who are you?" she asked. "I'm Orin," he said. "I've been stuck in here for years." This is the book?" she asked. "Yes. It's a place. A world. A prison for some. A journey for others. Lena swallowed hard. How do I get out? Oren looked down. You have to find the ending. The ending? The final page. It's hidden. You can't leave until you write it. Lena suddenly wished she'd never opened the ribbon. But a voice deep inside reminded her, you've always loved stories. And now you're part of one. She straightened her shoulders. Okay. Let's find it. Together, Lena and Oren journeyed through the book world. They crossed rivers of spilled ink, sailed on paper boats, and dodged creatures made of broken grammar, snarling things with commas for claws and quotation marks for teeth. They passed libraries guarded by silent librarians who stared with blank eyes, daring them to speak out loud. Each time Lena read a passage from the book she carried, the world around her shifted. Sometimes it helped, like creating a bridge of folded sonnets to cross a canyon. Other times, her words brought danger, like the time she wrote. They were not alone, and summoned a swarm of shadow figures that chased them for hours. The book was alive. It listened. And it tested her. One night, while resting under a tree made of lullabies, Oren asked, Why do you think it chose you? I don't know, Lena said, hugging her knees. Maybe because I read so much. I think it's because you're a seeker, Oren said. You look for truth. Not everyone does. Lena didn't know how to respond. But something inside her warmed. The next day, they entered the chamber of blank pages, a cold, echoing place with high white walls and no exits. At its center lay a pedestal. On it rested a single page. Lena stepped forward. The book she carried glowed. This is it, Oren whispered. The final page. Lena picked it up. The page was empty. No title. No words. Just space. Oren handed her a quill. You have to write it, he said. Your ending. Lena stared at the page. What did she want? An escape? A victory? A simple return to her room? No. She wanted something more. She dipped the quill into her heart, the place where her fears, dreams, and hopes lived, and began to write. She had walked through shadows, crossed rivers of ink, and faced the weight of unknown words. She had made a friend, braved her fears, and found the courage to shape her story. She was no longer just a reader. She was a writer. A creator. A light in the dark. And so she opened her eyes. Lena looked up. The forest faded. The paper trees vanished. The sky folded into itself like the closing of a book. And then she was back. In her room. The candle was still burning. The old book rested on her lap, closed again, the ribbon tied neatly. She opened it. The pages were blank. Every one. Except the last. It held the words she had written. And below it, a new message. Your story is your own. But now, you can help others find theirs. The next morning, Lena returned to Whispering Pages. Mr. Thorne greeted her with a knowing smile. You finished the story, he said. She nodded. But I think it's just beginning. He handed her a small leather pouch. For the next reader, he said. You'll know when to pass it on. Lena smiled. She no longer felt alone. From that day on, she didn't just read books, she wrote them. Little by little. Her words carried truth and light. And sometimes, when she saw someone sitting alone in the library or walking quietly down a forgotten alley, she would place the old book gently in their hands. Just read it, she'd say. By candlelight. And the story would begin again,